These are some bad hair mistakes that some of you are definitely making, and unfortunately, you're looking older than you really are. And I know every time I make these videos, people come at me saying, "What's wrong with getting older?" Nothing's wrong with getting older. It's great to get older, but you're just arguing with me. You know you want to look a little younger. You want to look better, and these little tips and tricks and changes will definitely help. So when it comes to hair, the number one sign of aging is definitely thinning hair, whether it be on top, your hairline, thin hair in general, but so many women of all ages struggle with this. It's not just women getting older, although it definitely gets worse as you get older. And I know many of you watch my videos and you probably think Shay has a lot of hair that's thick, and that just wasn't always the case. I can assure you that. This was 5 years ago where my hairline was really getting sparse, like bad. I was really stressing out about it to the point where I very rarely ever had my hair up. So when I found these photos on my old Facebook page, I screenshot them and I always showed them as kind of like the before. And so I started using Vegamour. This is their famous Grow hair serum. They were actually just rated the #1 prestige hair serum for hair shedding and hair thinning. And I started using this on my own. I was not working with Vegamour and I was seeing amazing results. I talked about it on my YouTube channel. And then from then on, I've been working with them because I stand behind this product so much. I know a lot of you already use it, in which case you need to try the jumbo version. They just launched the jumbo bottle. This is actually equal to 3 months worth of product. They used to just have the month bottles, which are still great. You could still get one of those bottles, but to really see results, you need to use this for 3 months and be very, very, very consistent with it. This is not going to make your hair greasy at all because it is water-based. And so if you want to do it in the morning when you brush your teeth, you could habit stack it so you always remember. I actually just keep this on my nightstand and I do it every night before bed. But you just take a dropper full of the serum and you just put it directly onto your scalp. Definitely concentrate it more in your problem areas. So I go down my hairline, I rub it in my fingers, and again, you can go about your day and your hair is gonna look great. It's not gonna be messed up. So this is what my hair looks like now. Like, can you see? Like I still don't wear my hair up that often because I feel like I have elephant ears. And now that I just said that, I feel like you guys are gonna, I've never admitted that to anybody. I walked past a clown once and he called me Dumbo. So there's that. But let's go for the stats because the proof is in the pudding. So if you use this for 3 months consistently, you will reduce signs of shedding by up to 85%. And then you can also increase the appearance of your hair density, meaning it's thicker, like more hair is growing in, by up to 56%. So you will start to see little baby hairs grow in, and that's exactly what happened to me, and it is so much better. So if you do want to give them a try, I'll have them linked down below, and you can use my code SHAY for 20% off site-wide, and it works for everything. And so a lot of people also like to try their Grow shampoo and conditioner just because there's very similar ingredients, and so these just really work well together. And a lot of people do ask me about their Grow Plus Advanced hair serum. So that stuff is more expensive, but it is for very severe hair loss and shedding. So it's great. It just kind of depends on your situation. Okay, so another hair mistake you could be making as you get older is having super dark hair. Now, of course, these ideas are not applicable to everybody. They're just things to consider and keep in mind. But as we get older, it gets harder and harder to have very dark hair because it starts to wash the person out, makes you look more pale. It actually enhances the signs of aging on your face. It enhances those fine lines and wrinkles. And so here's just a really good example to kind of show and illustrate what I'm talking about. So this is the beautiful Jennifer Aniston. So on the left side, she has very dark hair. On the right side, she has lighter hair. And it's just interesting seeing this photo side by side because it's the same picture, just different hair. And you can really see that on the left side, she looks older. You can actually see more of the lines on her face. And then here's an example of Meghan Markle. Now, she already has a darker complexion, so she looks great with dark hair. But this is an example to show you that sometimes even just adding a little bit of warmth to brown hair does actually make you look a little more youthful. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, Shay, you still have super dark hair and you're getting older. And you're right. I'm sure as I age, I will start to experiment with lighter hair because of my next point, which is grays. As grays start to come in and you start aging, having very dark hair is very hard to maintain. And so I often get this question. I just thought I'd throw it in here. I still am treating my own roots, like I color my own roots with the Nutrice Garnier. That's box dye. Super toxic, I know. For how much I want to be natural and healthy, my nails and my hair dye awful. So I try to dye my hair very sparingly. I mean, I go a long time, and that's where I can start to really age myself if the gray hairs are really showing. And so that's where this Magic Root touch-up spray comes in. I just take this, and you can get it in so many different colors. I just get dark brown, but there's medium brown, light brown, blonde, like there's so many different shades. And in seconds flat, it completely covers up my grays. Now, another hair mistake I often see is highlights. And just hear me out on this, because highlights are a great way to go from dark to light hair. It's a great transition. I mean, also, it just gives your hair dimension. Highlights can be amazing, but the mistake comes in, and it's not really your fault. It's usually the hairdresser's fault, where they make them too chunky. This is a perfect example where there's dark hair trying to add some highlights and dimension, and they're just too thick and chunky. This not only looks very, very dated, but it is going to make you look older. Now, you really want to emphasize to your hairdresser that you want the highlights to be blended. You want them to be subtle, and this is a great example of that. Now, say you are somebody that does get highlights, you might be victim to the brassy or yellow tones that can often happen weeks after you come home from the hair salon. And this is that brassy tone that I'm talking about. This is also something I see on people and myself, and it's almost like you're blind to it. Once we get so used to what our hair looks like, we're constantly seeing ourselves in the mirror, we kind of become immune to like how bad it actually looks. Like, look at me. This is me, I don't even know, 8-9 years ago when I first started my YouTube channel. I had blonde hair. Look how yellow my hair is. I had no idea my hair was yellow, even though I looked in the mirror day after day. I had to rely on you guys to tell me in the comments, like,
Shay, your hair is yellow.
What was I doing? I know there's a lot of you watching this video right now. Like, go look in the mirror. Like, is your hair yellow? And so if that's the case, you need to get some purple shampoo or purple conditioner, okay? This makes a huge difference. You can go to the salon, also have them tone it. And it's not just for people with highlights either. Like, people with blonde hair also struggle with yellow, brassy tones. And this is kind of an example of like what a good blonde tone is versus a bad. This next hair mistake is just insane, and I'd be willing to bet almost all of you are actually making this hair mistake. And it's not knowing if your hair is low or high porosity. And you're probably thinking like, well,
What the heck is that?
low porosity is when the hair cuticles, like on the hair shaft, are super tight and flat. That's low porosity, meaning it's gonna be very hard for moisture to actually penetrate your hair. High porosity is when the cuticles on the hair shaft are very raised up, meaning that moisture really absorbs well and quickly into your hair. Knowing the difference could change your life and actually change your hair forever. And so there's actually 2 specific tests that you can do. I'm gonna show you right now that, like, when you're done watching this video, go do this test and see what type of hair you have. So you just get a glass of water, pull out a hair, and it's just for experimental purposes, research, and you just simply put the piece of hair in the water. Just lay it on top of the water. And if it's low porosity, meaning that your hair follicles are very tightly wound and moisture is very hard to penetrate it, that hair strand is just going to float on the top, okay? And that's me. I have very low porosity hair. Now, if you have normal hair, it's going to float, but then sink. That's what you really want. That's the ideal result. But then high porosity is when it just immediately sinks down. And then another test you could do, get another piece of hair, which I have one here. You probably can't see it though. And then a spray bottle. And you're gonna spray the hair. And if you can see the water beating up on the hair, not being absorbed, that means you have low porosity. Now, if you spray that and it just immediately absorbs all the water, you don't see any droplets, then you have high porosity. So what does this mean? If you have low porosity hair, meaning it's hard for the moisture to actually absorb into your hair follicles, you need to stop using mousse and butters and thick creams because they're not actually absorbing into your hair. They're sitting on top of your hair, making it sticky, weighed down. It's not actually treating your hair like you think it is. And use more water-based products, okay? Once I made that change, my hair looks and feels so much better. But on the flip side, if you have high porosity hair, meaning your hair is thirsty and it is just absorbing all of that moisture instantly, you do want to be using thicker creams and butters to treat your hair. And so I hope you found that particular hair mistake very interesting. And no matter what side you're on, whether it be low or high porosity, if you're not nourishing your hair the proper way, it can lead to dull and faded hair. And that is another really obvious sign of aging. I wanna talk about what you can do to combat that even further, which is deep oiling, okay? This is a very specific technique, and I do this maybe once a month. Like I should, like ideally more, but like at least once a month. This will do wonders for your hair and make it look so much more youthful and shiny and bright, like in a really good way. So basically what you do is you can actually get a butter or a cream. I actually am using Vegamore's Hydrate line. I love this hair nourishing cream. And again, I have low porosity hair. If I just were to put this on my hair and not do this technique, it wouldn't work as well. So you need to add moisture to your hair. So again, take this spray bottle, put it through your hair. Then you take the hair mask or cream or butter. Again, this is the Vegamore. I put it all through my hair. And then this is where the magic comes in. Here's the little hack or trick. You actually want to use saran wrap and wrap it all around your hair. You can even like put your hair in a little bun just to put it all in one spot, but put saran wrap over your hair and then put a hair towel on top. And you want to leave it at least, maybe, I would say like at least an hour. Sometimes I'll just watch a movie. I'll do this, for a long time. And that saran wrap locks in the heat from your head. And that heat actually allows the hair follicles to raise up a little bit. And then the hair oil and cream penetrate the hair follicles and actually do what it's meant to do. And then I will take it off after a period of time and wash my hair. And my hair is unbelievably softer and brighter and stronger feeling and hydrated. Like it just makes such a big difference. Okay, so we've talked a lot about hair color and hair quality. Let's move on to specific haircuts and hairstyles that immediately age you and make you look older. And the famous example is the J-Lo photo versus the Golden Girl photo. So these pictures are of them both being age 51. And it really shows that hair cuts and styles can put decades on you. J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, looks so much younger with her longer, straighter hair than the shorter hairstyle of the Golden Girl. Let's also move on to this photo. This is from the show Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So the actresses in this photo, they're all from that show. But what's interesting is Melissa Joan Hart is 44. So it's years later after the show was filmed. If you look at the ages of the aunts from the show, they are age 32 and 37. But side by side, even though Melissa Joan Hart is a lot older with this hairstyle, she looks so much younger. And then another wonderful example, Demi Moore and Angela Lansbury, both 58, and you can definitely tell which woman looks younger. And so if you have had the same hairstyle for decades, like Princess Anne, it might be an indication that you should change things up. And I know you guys are thinking,
Shay, you've had super long hair forever.
The thing is, I used to style it differently, and in 2020, I did cut it. I chopped it to my shoulders. So I definitely did make that change because I felt like I had long hair for too long. And a lot of you told me I looked a lot older doing that. So really, I just can't win. I'm sure at some point I'll change this up. Another aging hairstyle mistake is this: heavy, blunt, straight across bangs. Now, I'm not saying all bangs are bad. In fact, I feel like as we get older, bangs come in handy. Like bangs are a really good trick or tactic into hiding your forehead lines and even your crow's feet around your eyes. So here's an example of good bangs. So these are a little bit more wispy. They're not nearly as heavy, but they still hide those fine lines and wrinkles around your forehead and eyes. So I love this. This would be a great example to show to your hairdresser. It's not going to weigh your whole face down. Continuing on with haircut mistakes. If you have medium to shoulder length hair that's all one length, like this example, like no shape, no movement, no texture, it really is aging you. So you definitely want to add some layers like this. This has more texture, it has more layers. It's going to look a lot more youthful and just more of an up-to-date hairstyle. Now, not everybody wants shoulder length hair though, and so we need to move on to the longer hair mistakes that can happen as we age, because I really think older women can absolutely pull off long hair. But there are some things you should and shouldn't do, and I've kind of learned this along the way. When you have longer hair, many people say they want long layers, like they want layers to their hair, but this is such a mistake because it causes your hair to be very thin and stringy at the end. But that does lead me to the next mistake, which is triangle layering. So we've got the regular triangle and the inverted triangle. Both options are bad. The regular triangle is basically what I just talked about, adding layers to longer hair. It kind of causes a triangle to form in the back of your hair, and you can very much see that the hair at the bottom is very thin and stringy, not good. And then the inverted triangle method is actually where you have longer hair in the front and then shorter hair in the back. Again, like an inverted triangle. And this particular hairstyle was very popular 5 to 10 years ago, and it is since very outdated. If you are still wearing this style, I truly believe you are aging yourself. It's going to make you look older rather than younger. But no matter what type of hair you have, or even how old you are, I really believe everyone would love the Vegamour Grow Hair Serum. So if you do want to give this a try, I'll have it linked down below. You can use my code SHAY for 20% off site-wide. And I hope you found some value in this, even if you disagreed with me on some of the points. But please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.